My name is Sarah, and this is my story of how I managed to free myself from my mother-in-law. Good riddance, I must say. Andy, my husband, and I met at a chaotic fraternity party, surrounded by the pounding bass of music and flashing neon lights. It was the kind of party where you could hardly hear yourself think, let alone hold a conversation. Amid the chaos, our eyes locked, and the world around us seemed to fade into the background. Andy, with his cute smile and mischievous eyes, asked me to dance. We swayed to the music, talking and laughing as if we'd known each other forever. As the weeks passed, our connection deepened. We studied together in the library, shared late-night pizzas, and stole quiet moments by the campus fountain. It did not take long for our friendship to turn into something more romantic and passionate. We became inseparable, like two puzzle pieces finally finding their perfect fit. But there was this dark cloud hanging over us, and that was Andy's mom, Margaret. She was a tough nut to crack, let me tell you. Right from the start, it was clear she had some grand plans for her son's future, and I did not quite fit the bill. She would look at me like I was some kind of mismatch for Andy, and it wasn't a warm and fuzzy feeling. Margaret had these fancy expectations like I was supposed to be some kind of etiquette expert. She acted all high and mighty like her family was royalty and mine, well, ours was a bit more down to earth. She had this way of making me feel like I was less than her, and it was like a constant weight on my shoulders. Andy had confided in me once, telling me about how challenging she could be to deal with. He'd say things like,
"Sarah, my mom's been through a bunch of relationships, and none of them ever lasted."
It was clear that her high standards and strong personality might have been a part of why things never worked out for her in the romance department. But I did not let any of that deter me. Our romance continued, and within 2 years we were deeply in love. It was as if we had found the missing piece of ourselves in each other. We finally got married. Margaret was a master at seizing every possible opportunity to make me feel like I did not belong and that my efforts were insignificant. She would often pile all the household chores on me, from cooking elaborate meals to cleaning up after her meticulously planned gatherings. It was like she expected me to be a one-woman army, all while she watched with a critical eye, ready to point out any flaw. I would never blame Andy because he had already given me a heads up before I got into the marriage. On the contrary, he would stand up to his mom whenever she tried to belittle me. At my sister-in-law's wedding, Margaret gave me a last-minute errand that made me miss the main ceremony.
"Sarah, dear, come here for a moment."
"Yes, Margaret?" "I'm actually helping Stacy with her hair."
"I have a rather important task for you. It can't wait."
"Oh, what is it?"
"I need you to pick up my reception dress from a boutique across town. You need to get it. I don't have an alternative."
"Margaret, the wedding ceremony is about to start and I was looking forward to—"
"I know, dear, but this is an emergency. I'm the mother of the bride, after all. You're such a dependable soul, and I can trust only you with this."
Any other time? I cannot forget about this when Margaret manipulatively took the present Andy gave to me at my birthday dinner. "Oh, Andy, you really outdid yourself with these vintage earrings. They are absolutely stunning."
"I'm glad you like them. Happy 25th birthday, my love."
"Thanks, honey."
My, those are exquisite. May I have a closer look?"
"Of course."
"Hand them over, dear. They are simply gorgeous. A little too extravagant for someone your age, don't you think? I mean, don't get me wrong, but you see, darling, vintage jewelry like this should be reserved for more mature women." "Mom, I thought they would suit Sarah perfectly."
"How about this, dear? Since you are still quite young, why don't you let me take care of these earrings for you? When you have matured a bit, I will return them." I remember I was seriously shaking by what had gone down. It felt like my birthday was stolen by Margaret. Andy tried his best to comfort me later when she left. I mean, Who snatches a birthday gift from someone right in front of them? Those moments were just the tip of the iceberg when it came to Margaret's antics. It was like she had a mission to make me feel like an outsider in my own family. She would stop at nothing to show her dominance, and it left me wondering where I fit in. Putting up with Margaret's tricks had become a sort of routine for me. I figured I could handle it, but things took a wild turn about a month ago when Andy and I decided to treat ourselves to a much-needed vacation. Andy and I had been daydreaming about an escape, a perfect vacation that would give us a chance to break free from the usual grind. We decided on a tropical retreat to Maui, Hawaii, and booked a couple suite in a resort for ourselves. One evening, as we sat at Margaret's house for dinner, our vacation plan slipped out during our conversation. I could see Margaret's eyes light up as we talked about Hawaii. A couple of days later, my phone rang and I saw Margaret's name on the caller ID.
Sarah, dear, I have been thinking about our conversation the other day. You know, the one about your vacation plans.
Yes, what about it?
Well, you see, I have never been to Hawaii. The last thing I want to do is intrude on your vacation, but you are so fortunate to have Andy, someone who takes care of you. Ever since Andy's father left, I have not had someone who does that for me. I feel so lonely, dear.
Margaret, I'm so sorry about your situation. I really am. I see what you're trying to say here, but this trip is meant to be just for Andy and me.
Sarah, please understand. I promise I will not be a burden. I will pay my own expenses, take a room on a separate floor, and stay out of your way. You and Andy can enjoy your vacation together. Please talk to Andy about this.
Margaret, I want to help you, but I also don't want our vacation to turn into,
please, just think about it. I've never been to Hawaii, and the time is ticking away. You know I'm not getting any younger.
All right, let me talk to Andy and see what we can do. I talked to Andy about Margaret's unexpected request. He knew his mother inside and out, and he was well aware of her tendencies. He hesitated for a moment, then let out a sigh.
Okay, honey. Just because you are asking me to, I'll talk to my mom and ask her to come along with us, but we need to establish some boundaries and make it crystal clear that this is our vacation too.
Our trip to Maui had its fair share of twists and turns. Margaret, the third wheel, had bulldozed her way into joining us, and right from the get-go, I could sense this vacation would not be the relaxing escape we had hoped for. It all started with a petty tiff over the window seat on the flight. I wanted to sit by the window because I was claustrophobic, but Margaret insisted on having the window seat because she wanted to soak in the view, and obviously, I was the one who had to give up on the seat. As we landed in Hawaii and checked into our hotel, I thought Margaret would head to her separate room, but nope. She decided to move in with her bags right into our suite. Andy and I exchanged worried glances, but there was not much we could do at that point. The first day was a mix of beach beauty and Margaret sticking to us like glue. She insisted on doing everything together, which meant Andy and I could not even have a quiet moment to ourselves. I was dreaming of romantic beach walks and intimate dinners, but those dreams felt pretty distant. She went for a swim, and afterwards she handed me her sandy, dirty clothes and asked me to wash them. I kid you not, I had not signed up for laundry duty. It was like Margaret had brought some bad juju with her on this trip because you will not believe it, but on the second morning, as we were sipping our morning mocktails and enjoying the Hawaiian breeze, Andy's phone rang with an urgent call from his office.
Hey babe, we have got to go right away. I hate to break it to you, but I have got to head to Atlanta. My boss just called, and there was this construction project my colleague was managing, but he had a family emergency. My boss wants me to step in and take over the show in Atlanta.
Hey, I completely get it. Vacations will come and go. Andy checked his phone.
My boss just sent me these details. It looks like I will be away for about 6 months.
6 months is such a long time, Andy. I can't help but feel like I'm going to miss you terribly. It is going to be tough without you.
I will miss you too, honey. I will be counting down the days until I am back in your arms.
It's fine, it's just 6 months. We have a lifetime together. We will get through this.
Thanks for being cool about it, Sarah. Start packing and I will give Mom the news as well.
We flew back home from Maui, and the very next day, Andy had to jet off to Atlanta for his project. It hit me like a ton of bricks. For the first time since we had gotten married, I was home alone without Andy. It was daunting, to say the least. I knew his work was essential, and he needed to go to Atlanta for the office project, but I could not shake off the feeling of emptiness. That night, we video called, and he gave me a virtual tour of the hotel his office had set him up for the next 6 months. I could tell he was excited. As soon as I ended the call, I realized that it was going to be a long wait until he got back, and I needed to find ways to fill the void he left behind. But just when I thought I was sitting into my new routine, the next day brought a call from my beloved mother-in-law. It was as if the universe conspired to keep me on my toes.
Hello, Sarah. How are you holding up after our short-lived vacation?
Hi, Margaret. I'm dealing with a bit of jet lag, but otherwise I am good.
Oh, I see. Well, I hope you and Andy had a fabulous time in Maui because I did. It's just a shame we all had to come back so early.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, but Andy needed to take that project. It seems like a big deal to him, you know how it is.
Yeah. It's just that my vacation was practically ruined because of it. I was hoping to spend some more time there.
Well, there's nothing we can do about it now.
You are right. What's done is done. I do not like being here back at my empty home so soon, so I have decided something that will be good for both of us.
What is it?
I will be coming to stay with you the next 6 months.
Wait, what? 6 whole months? Are you serious, Margaret? That's a lot of time.
Yup, dear. I thought it would be nice to spend some quality time together. Oh, and one more thing. I will need breakfast and dinner prepared for me every day. I prefer my meals fresh and homemade, you know. I will need my laundry done twice a week and my room cleaned every day. You know how much I can sneeze if I inhale a speck of dust, right? You must be kidding me. You treat me like I'm your full-time assistant. I can't just drop everything to cater to your every need for basically half a year. You will, because I am coming, and that's final. It's the least you can do after ruining my vacation.
Margaret, you are blaming me for ruining your vacation? That's quite a stretch. Your son had work commitments.
Well, considering Andy is gone, I know you must have a lot of time on your hands, so this is happening, whether you like it or not. I am your mother-in-law, and you will accommodate me. I will be there this Sunday. I need to take care of a couple of things before I leave my house. See you soon. Sleep off that jet lag before I come.
And then she just hung up on me. I mean, seriously? Margaret suddenly decided to move in for half a year, expecting me to be her personal chef and maid. Margaret's audacity knew no bounds. The day after our little chat over the phone, she bombarded me with a lengthy grocery list through text, filled with pricey items she wanted stocked up before her arrival. I knew I needed to find a way to get Margaret out of my house, or at least to make her stay a bit more challenging. While I was preparing a room for Margaret, it reminded me of the unit upstairs. We used to rent the upstairs floor of our house to tenants to bring in some extra cash. One name that stood out was Joe. He was someone Margaret had met through Andy and me, and he had been renting the room upstairs for a while. Joe and Margaret dated for about a year, and their relationship ended in a messy breakup after Margaret discovered Joe had been cheating on her. I figured this could be the perfect opportunity to put my plan into action. If I could get Joe back into the picture, it might make Margaret think twice about staying here for 6 months. So I went through my contacts and called up Joe. Hey, Joe. It has been forever, hasn't it?
Sarah, it has been ages. I'm good. What have you been up to?
Well, you know how much of a pain Margaret can be. She is coming to stay for 6 months, and I'm at my wit's end already. Andy had to leave for Atlanta suddenly for work, so now Margaret expects me to be her personal chef, chauffeur, and maid all in one.
So, what's on the menu? The life of luxury. You should serve her a bologna sandwich and call it a delicacy. That will show her.
Maybe I'll throw in some canned soup for that 5-star experience.
How can I help you?
Can you please do me a favor and pretend that you have rented the rooms upstairs and you live here? I want to make her leave.
That's a pretty bold plan, Sarah, but considering how she treated me back then, I might just be up for it. What do you need me to do?
Just act like a tenant. There's no one living upstairs currently, so just be visible around the house, but not too friendly and definitely not romantic. It will drive her nuts and hopefully make her leave sooner. Maybe just casually mention how you've been dating someone new, someone incredibly charming and lovely.
Oh, and I will throw in some outrageous details about my fictional new love interest. Count me as your undercover tenant.
You are a lifesaver, Joe. Be here this Sunday. The weekend was finally there, and the stage was set for some epic drama. None of Margaret's demands had been met. No fancy groceries, no breakfast or dinner preparations, and no obsequious waiting on her hand and foot. I was feeling a mixture of nerves and excitement as I thought about how this would all play out. Honestly, I had had enough of her high-handedness and manipulation. Joe, my ally in this little charade, was upstairs ready to play his part. When Margaret finally showed up, she practically rolled out of her taxi with not one, not two, but 3 massive suitcases. Hey there, say hi to your new housemate. Why don't you grab those suitcases and bring them inside? I shrugged off her request and just followed her inside. The moment we walked through the door, she headed straight for the refrigerator and inspected it. Hey, I asked you to grab the groceries, but you did not. What's up with that? I'm sorry, Margaret. I got a bit distracted and forgot. I will get them right away. And what about my suitcases? Did you already put them in the room I will be staying in? Nope, not yet. Those things were too heavy for me to handle solo. Let me quickly ask my tenant for a hand. Look at you, acting all delicate. I hurried upstairs and signaled to Joe. He followed me down the stairs and into the house. What's he doing here? I already mentioned that I was getting some assistance with the suitcases. This is unbelievable. Joe is your new tenant? That's correct, Margaret. He is renting a room here now. I'm sorry, I think I forgot to mention it. Get him out of here, Sarah.
Well, I did pay my rent, and it does come with certain rights, you know.
This is utterly inappropriate. I can't believe you'd bring him as a tenant into our home without even consulting Andy or me.
Yeah, Margaret, Sarah here is a fantastic landlord. She even made some pancakes on my first day, unlike someone who refused to cook for me if I did not buy her a pair of designer heels. This is not a joke, Joe. I'm extremely disappointed in you, Sarah. You have let this whole situation spiral out of control. It's not like Joe is going to disrupt your vacation. Yeah, don't worry about it all, Margaret. My girlfriend is going to be here in a week. You will hardly notice we're here. My girlfriend and I are experts at being stealthy.
I cannot take this anymore. Screw 6 months. I cannot spend a minute here. I am leaving. Oh, but I was just on my way to get the groceries you asked for. Save it, Sarah. You will be punished for your doing. After Margaret made her dramatic exit, I thanked Joe that I owed him big time. I told Andy about the prank I pulled on his mom during our video call later that night. He burst into laughter, finding the whole situation rather amusing. He gave me a big virtual kiss and said,
You did what you had to do, Sarah. I know how challenging Mom can be, and honestly, I think you handled it brilliantly.
Now, as I sit here writing this, Andy will be away for work for 5 months. It's tough being apart, but I've used this time to explore new hobbies. Gardening has become my sanctuary, a place where I can find solace and reconnect with nature. I have also taken up painting and started experimenting with new recipes in the kitchen. These activities have kept me busy. Until Andy gets back home, I think I will continue to cherish our phone calls and video chats, making the most of the time we have, no matter the distance.